Drake is a fucking scumbag. I'm Charflame, and Kendrick Lamar is the king of the rap game. Now real quick, I gotta say that I'm not gonna be taking sides or anything, alright? This is going to be a completely unbiased video. So anyways, my Go Kendrick absolutely tarnished Drake's legacy by proving to the world once again that the Degrassi star is nothing but a lying son of a gun. And I am sure, my darling viewer, that you have heard a lot of drama regarding what has happened in these past few months, but this beef isn't a recent occurrence, alright? An entire rap war between the two has been brewing for the past decade, and most people haven't even heard about it. Hell, even I didn't know how far back this thing went until I pulled out my little magnifying glass and I decided to search the depths of the web to pinpoint the start of this thing. And after doing that, I fucking quit, because the internet has so much random ass people saying, oh no, Drake doesn't have a daughter. Kendrick would never lay his hands on a woman. It was such a pain to figure out what's real and what's not. But before I lay down the lore, starting from Kendrick and Big Sean's track Control and ending with the abomination that is Drake's Wagwan Delilah, I gotta establish the layers to this story. First layer, the start of Kendrick versus Drake. Second layer, the PPP era. Third layer, the end of Kendrick versus Drake. Last layer, the downfall of Drake. Real quick though, I'm gonna be replacing this word with playa and sometimes homie. Alright, let's start. Back in 2011, Kendrick and Drake were a couple of pals. In an early interview relative to his career, Kendrick said that him and Drake clicked immediately, and he even let Drake be the first person outside of his own team to hear his debut album, Section 80. Drake even bestowed K-Dot with a feature on his own track, Buried Alive Interlude, on Drake's 2011 album, Take Care, which, by the way, was a banger. You can hate or love Drake, but the album is still goated. You can suck my dick. But shortly after, in 2012, Kendrick made Good Kid, Mad City, in which he'd return the favor and give Drake a feature resulting in Poetic Justice. And a couple of days later, A$AP Rocky made Fucking Problems featuring Kendrick, Drake, and 2 Chainz. But after these 3 collaborations, Kendrick and Drake would never make a song with each other again. Fast forwarding a bit to 2013, tensions started to rise between the two. Big Sean invited Kendrick for a feature on his song Control, and Kendrick was like, fuck it, I'm gonna do some playful banner. So he proceeded to name drop 11 rappers, and he basically told them all, I love y'all, but I'm better. Suck my dick. And most of these rappers who got name dropped, like A$AP Rocky, didn't give a shit that Kendrick was tooting his own horn. And every rapper brags about being better than one another, but Kendrick dissed everyone in a very direct way than most artists who like to throw in some pussy ass sneak disses. But you know who else likes to brag about themselves?
Drake.
Drake had an interview afterwards where he was asked to give his thoughts on the Big Sean and Kendrick track Control. And Drake was like,
was that real or was that just for the people? Those were some harsh words, right? It's like you just can't say that and see me and be like, yeah, man, pretending like nothing ever happened. That's not real, man.
Drake took Kendrick's bodacious nature up the butt, and I think it's because he started to view Kendrick as someone that could outshine him. Drake would even go on to say that Good Kid, Mad City was just a moment for Kendrick, and that he would never be able to top that album. Why the fuck did Drake say that? But Kendrick dropped 11 names on that track, and I guess Drake thought,
It's all about me.
Drake doubled down on his Uchiha hatred and made his album Nothing Was the Same, which includes a lyric directed towards Kendrick.
Fuck any player that's talking that shit just to get a reaction.
And on that same track, Drake would poke fun at Kendrick's humble nature, rapping,
Players down playing the money, but that's what you doing, the money down.
that shit low-key went hard though, I'm not gonna lie, that's exactly what Kendrick be doing. But 3 months later, Kendrick would do a freestyle at the 2013 BET Awards in which he responded to Drake by rapping,
And nothing's been the same since they dropped Control and tucked a sensitive rapper back in his pajama clothes.
and people definitely knew that Kendrick was talking about Drake. He even name dropped his new album that came out that year and even called him a little bitch for crying on an interview because of Control. At this point, surely Drake won't make himself look like a stupid little fucking crybaby again, right? Drake topped on a remix with Future for a song called Shit. Pretty ironic, right? But in that song, Drake said,
And if a player say my name, he the hot shit. But if I say the player name, he's still the hot shit. Fucked up. Lucky I don't feed into the gossip.
now there's quite a bit to unpack here. Besides the fact that he's crying like a little baby, Drake literally says he doesn't feed into the gossip, even though that's exactly what he's done by making it personal and by rapping on a song that's literally meant to take a jab at Kendrick. But now that the beef has been ignited, a giant load of gasoline would be dumped onto the fire. Fast forwarding to 2014, a few months after the Shit remix, Drake would have an interview with ESPN in which he comes off as envious of Kendrick's career, and at that point, Drake would attempt to put Kendrick in his place through some very hostile jabs. The people conducting the interview were gassed at the fact that this could change their lives forever. They were sitting on this bombshell of an interview that could ignite one of the biggest rap wars during the mid-2010s, but before the tape had the chance to air, one of the interviewers contacted Kendrick's label Top Dog Entertainment, and they told him, don't do nothing, don't say nothing. And the interviewer agreed by responding with, I'll let y'all handle it. From this moment on, Kendrick and his team were aware of the slander Drake spoke on that interview, and Kendrick would go on to take note of this, just in case he ever had to diss Drake in the future. But Drake's team also reached out to the interviewers and requested that the interview should be pulled as to not stir up any big drama between the two, and that if they aired that interview, Drake wouldn't host the ESPY Awards in 2014. you might be wondering, what is a PPP? Well, I'll tell you, pink puffy pussies. Kendrick and Drake started to become some real pink puffy pussies by dissing each other more frequently, but in very nuanced ways. During the 2014 Grammy Awards show, Macklemore won Best Rap Album for his hit classic Whatever the Fuck. Then after the show, he'd go on to publicly apologize to Kendrick for robbing him of his Grammy. Pink Puffy Drizzy would see this kind-hearted message from Macklemore and then instantly call him out for having a cheap apology, in that if he truly felt bad, then he would have apologized to everybody else nominated for that Grammy. I don't think Drake realized that his album paled in comparison to Good Kid, Mad City, and Yeezus, but it's funny that he thought his album could stand a chance. I still can't believe Shit Fuck by Macklemore won that Grammy that year. That shit is so fucked up. But after the Grammys, things were quiet between the two, until a year later, when 2015 summer came around, and Meek Mill, aka Mr. French Fries on my lap by the pool, decided to drop his hit new album Meek Chill, which included a Drake feature. But out of nowhere, Meek accused Drake for using a ghostwriter, which ended up in that whole fiasco between the two, and the only thing we got out of that was Back to Back, which was produced by this fucker. These albums are goated. Everything after fucking sucked. But after Meek accused Drake of ghostwriting, Kendrick made the masterpiece known as To Pimp a Butterfly, which had the track King Kunta on it. Fans speculated that Kendrick was dissing Drake on that track, with Kendrick rapping, "I can dig rapping, but a rapper with a ghostwriter? What the fuck happened?" It's a great bar from Kendrick, but he's not directly calling Drake out. He's doing it subtly like a pink puffy pussy. A few months after King Kunta, Drake would hop on as a feature for the song 100 by The Game, and once again, fans speculated that Drake sneak dissed Kendrick on this track, with Drake rapping, "I would have all of your fans if I didn't go poppin', I stayed on some conscious shit." Best I Ever Had came out in 2009, 2 years before Kendrick was in the limelight, and you're telling me that was some conscious shit and not pop? Now let's skip a bit forward to when Drake was at the top of all of the music charts, but Kendrick was at the top of all of the critics' hearts. In 2016, Drake released his album Views, and the Lucky I Don't Feed Into the Gossip star made a track called Summer 16, bragging about how he has a bigger pool than Kanye, and he thinks he's on the same level as Jay-Z. Drake being boastful feels so corny, and I get that he was trying to be clever like Kendrick, but I feel like only Kendrick could pull off that boastful nature. But a year later, Drake would drop his mixtape More Life in March 2017, which did good, but a month later, Kendrick would drop his album Damn, which ended up getting a lot more praise than More Life and Views. Also, I don't give a fuck if I'm glazing the shit out of Kendrick, alright? He dropped the song Humble, okay? Drake never grew up with syrup sandwiches and crime allowances. But after Drake got his last two albums heavily overshadowed by Damn, in the public eye, he kinda looked like a pink puffy pussy. So Drake decided to throw in the towel by commenting on a post regarding Damn outselling him, and he wrote, "Amazing to see our music moving." And Drake even liked a fan's comment asking for him, J. Cole, and Kendrick to collab on a song. And the beef was over. Drake squashed the beef for good, and people took Kendrick's silence as a show of no ill will. Thanks for watching, everybody. But another year later, in 2018, K-Dot had the chance to make the Black Panther soundtrack, and he took that album as an opportunity to respond to Drake's heartfelt apology. "Fuck you and your expectations. I don't want your congratulations. I recognize your false confidence and calculated promises on a conversation." Fans speculated that this was Kendrick telling Drake that he doesn't care about ending the beef and that Kendrick's gonna stand on business. Everybody started to notice the drama once again heating up between them, and even Obama was asked to give his take on which side he'd be on.
If Drake and Kendrick Lamar got in a rap battle, who do you think would win?
In 2015, I blew up a hospital and I killed 42 people.
Drake never responded to all the stars, and Kendrick didn't release music for a while after the Black Panther album, until 4 years later in 2022, Kendrick would finally drop the long-awaited Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. I guess that Drake was waiting for another response from Kendrick, because a year later, Drake hopped on stage during his 2023 It's All a Blur tour, saying,
I know it's summertime. I've gotta give y'all shit. I don't know about these guys that go away for like 3, 4, 5 years and chill out and all that shit. That's not me.
But after this obvious call out towards Kendrick, Drake would announce that he'd be dropping his album For All the Dogs, which included a track that Drake made with J. Cole called First Person Shooter. In this song, J. Cole would claim that him, Kendrick, and Drake are hip-hop's big three. Cole would go on to rap, "Love when they argue the hardest MC. Is it K-Dot, is it Aubrey or me? We the big three like we started a league. But right now I feel like Muhammad Ali." J. Cole was throwing friendly jabs at every other rapper, rapping about how him, Kendrick, and Drake are the top three in hip-hop, similar to how Kendrick was tooting his own horn in Big Sean's Control. But Kendrick took this as a jab against himself, because during that same song, Drake would single Kendrick out of the big three by rapping, "I love a dinner with some fine women when they start debating about who the GOAT." I'm like, go on ahead, say it then. Who the GOAT? Who the GOAT? Who the GOAT? Who the GOAT? Who you bitches really rooting for? Like a kid that act bad from January to November? It's just you and Cole. This bar is actually pretty fire, because if you're naughty before Christmas, you get Cole, and Drake is saying that he's a bad boy. That's the GOAT. So it's just him and Cole, like Cole that you would get in your stockings. Lol. This would be noted as the final diss during the PPP era. Throughout this entire time period of 2014 to 2023, Kendrick Lamar and Drake only dissed each other through subtle jabs and non-direct bars, which is why I named it the Pink Puffy Pussies era, because these two were being some real pink puffy pussy. But now that we know that shit, it's finally time for the main arc. When you tell someone to go fuck themselves, you talk to that person directly. You address their name, you call them out on their bullshit, and you do all of this by saying, "Hey jackass, your opinion is horse shit. Go fuck yourself." And that's exactly how Kendrick and Drake reignited their beef. In March 2024, Metro Boomin dropped a collab album with Future called We Don't Trust You. And this album came out with a track called Like That, which features Kendrick Lamar and serves as a response to Drake and J. Cole's first-person shooter. Remember when Cole implied that him, Drake, and Kendrick are the big three? Well, Kendrick had to disagree. "Motherfuck the big three, homie, it's just big me." And this was just one of the bars that was considered a diss. Kendrick went on to say, "Fuck sneak diss and first person shooter, I hope they came with 3 switches. And also, I'm really like that, and your best work is a light pack. Homie Prince outlive Mike Jack, play a bum. For all your dogs getting buried, that's okay with all these nines. He gon' see Pet Cemetery, play a bum." Kendrick directly called out Drake by saying, "Fuck first person shooter and fuck for all the dogs." And from this point on, most people in the music industry started to mutually agree that they hate Drake. So a lot of other artists decided to hop on the fuck Drake train as well. Metro and Future would also throw some shots at Drake with the title track We Don't Trust You, with Future rapping,
"You a homie, you don't but one fan, dog. Sneak this and I don't understand, dog. Pillow talking ain't like a fed, dog. I don't need another fake friend, dog."
Future called Drake out for being a sneak dissing, pillow talking fed, which is pretty much him calling Drake a bitch. And yeah, he wasn't as direct as Kendrick was, but it came out on an album with the entire theme of it being trust issues, so that's how direct it'll get from Pluto. 2 weeks later, J. Cole responded with the track 7-Minute Drill on a surprise album drop called Might Delete Later. And you know his humble ass deleted that diss later. But in the track, he came off strong by responding to Kendrick with, "Yo, first shit was classic, yo, last shit was tragic, yo, second shit put homies to sleep but they gassed it, yo, third shit was massive and that was yo prime." His humbleness went after Kendrick's entire fucking discography, and the shit talking didn't stop there. Cole would also rap on about how Kendrick only drops a hard verse every 30 months and that he only dropped 4 albums in 12 years, which was a reference to Jay-Z's response to Nas on the track Takeover. Cole eventually realized that his opinion was dog shit, so he ended up deleting the song later and apologizing to Kendrick for it at the 2024 Dreamville Festival. Imagine performing at your event in front of all of your fans and basically telling everybody, "Guys, I'm sorry for eating a cheeseburger, and I'm sorry for buying a Cybertruck. I gotta go back to my humble ways." Nah, but for real, respect to J. Cole for apologizing. If anybody won the beef, I think it had to be him. But a week later, A$AP Rocky and The Weeknd decided that, fuck it, they wanted it on the beef too. A$AP Rocky hopped on the track Show of Hands for Future and Metro Boomin's follow-up album We Still Don't Trust You. And this handsome motherfucker made fun of the fact that Drake fumbled Rihanna, which is A$AP Rocky's partner, and that Flacco hit it first. Drake and Rihanna were an on-again and off-again couple from 2009 to 2016, so this was a good kick in Drake's hopefully small nuts. I couldn't really tell in the video if he has tiny balls or not, and I'm really hoping that this guy doesn't have it all. But on that same album, The Weeknd decided to fire some long-awaited shots at Drake because those two Canadians have been beefing for over a decade. The Weeknd could have been another OVO goon, but he let everybody know on the track All to Myself that he thanks God he never signed his life away. And then there was Mid. A day later, Drake finally dropped his single Push-Ups, where he would respond to everybody throwing shots at him. He first started out with Kendrick by having the cover art as bro's shoe size, even rapping in the song, "How the fuck you stepping with a size 7 mids on?" What an asshole! Making fun of somebody's height. Height is something you can't control. Nah, I don't give a fuck. I'm 6'3". I'm taller than both of these fucks. Drake would go on to diss the CEO of Top Dog, Anthony Tiffith, by claiming that he gets 50% of what Kendrick makes just because Kendrick signed to TDE when he was 16. Drake believes that he's got the best deal compared to every other artist out there. Drake kept going after Kendrick's label, even rapping about how he had to please TDE by collabing with pop stars. "Maroon 5 need a verse, you better make it witty. Then we need a verse for the Swifties. Top say drop, you better drop and give him 50. I love how Drake is going after Kendrick for making pop songs. Motherfucker, look at the songs that made you famous. I don't want to hear it. But it's also noted that Drake has been telling Kendrick to drop and give him 50 because of a Mike Jones song from 2007, and also because of this video of Kendrick doing push-ups at a prison to soul music. Drake really went for whatever he could find on Kendrick's burner account, and Drake even follows that account too. He a fan, he a fan, he a fan. Well, you remember how Drake said it was just him and Cole in the big three, but J. Cole would say that it's him, Drake, and Kendrick in the big three? Well, Drake would once again shit on J. Cole's claim by claiming that Kendrick ain't a part of the big three. SZA, Travis Scott, and 21 Savage are. Now enough about Kendrick. Drake had to respond on to Future and Metro too. In Push-Ups, he directly responds to Future's bars in We Don't Trust You, rapping about how Drake could never be Future's #1 fan, and that Drake gave Future his first #1 track ever, which is true. It was way too sexy, man. That song fucking sucked. But the most fire part from this whole diss was when he told Metro, shut your whole ass up and make some drums. The next on the chopping block was The Weeknd, and Drake rapped about how The Weeknd left Canada as soon as he got big, and that he only spends his money on his homies and not women. I think Drake's inner circle changes every year, because I think he's just coping with the fact that he doesn't have any real friends because he's fucking Drake. Shit, I mean, I would buy a Prada bag than get Chubbs another $19 Fortnite card. But regarding A$AP Rocky, Drake didn't respond to him. Yet. The final jab on this track was directed towards Rick Ross by giving him the same treatment as Future, letting him know that every song of his that he got on the charts wouldn't have happened without him. A few weeks prior to the release of Like That, Rick Ross unfollowed Drake on Instagram, which led to him getting dissed on Push-Ups. But a few hours after Push-Ups dropped, Rick Ross released his response track, Champagne Moments. Ross elaborated on the fact that he unfollowed Drake by rapping about how Cumface sent a cease and desist to French Montana, and that's basically like snitching on him by involving the law, and honestly, I'm not going to bother researching this part because I don't think anyone gives a shit about French Montana. But the message of Rick Ross's Champagne Moments was just him calling out Drake for allegedly getting a nose job, ab surgery, and a BBL. Drizzy. Afterwards, Drake would respond with tailor-made freestyle, but I gotta stop here for now. Part 2 will be coming out real soon, but I hope you guys have enjoyed my explanation on Kendrick versus Drake so far, and I'd appreciate it if you guys hit that subscribe button, because I'm not making any money off of this. This is just to get my foot in the door with YouTube. But I'm charflame, and have a good one, everybody.